Welcome back to Flint Creek Transport. My name is Justin. So I know many of you guys are probably wondering, Justin, what are you going to be doing as far as electric? Are you going to be getting an electric truck? Well, that's what I want to talk about in this video, is going to be the pros and cons of an electric truck and some of my reasons of why I chose to buy or to not buy an electric truck. So stay tuned, coming right up. So as you know, I went and drove the new Nikola electric truck, and I also drove a Peterbilt 579 electric truck, and there are very big differences between the two. Probably the biggest differences were the Nikola truck, instead of being just a conventional like a USA truck, it is a lot different than our trucks that you see today. There's a lot of specs on there that are a bit different. So with the Nikola, I have a lot more reservation. Like it'd be a little scarier to buy one of those trucks versus the Peterbilt, and I'll get into that. But some of the pros and cons. I'll start with maybe some of the pros first. This will go with probably. I'm just going to start with the Nikola a little bit. The turning radius on that truck was pretty amazing, and you know, probably with any cab over, you know, that short wheelbase, you can turn really, really sharp. So that is a plus. Another thing was the ride on that truck. That truck rode very nice. It was quiet. It was like driving a car almost. It was very, very nice ride. The other thing is visibility. You're sitting up high, you can see out, and the visibility on that truck was great. The only thing is that if you were to be in an accident, you would definitely be the first person at the scene. The other thing with the Nikola truck is the power that it had. It had amazing power, torque, and the regenerative braking was pretty awesome feature as well. You didn't even have to use your brakes. This thing would do the braking for you basically by capturing the energy when you're trying to stop. As soon as you leave off the throttle, you would start to feel it, hold back. And there was different stages that you could set that on. So if you're just empty or you're loaded, you can adjust the stages that you want. So kind of like a Jake brake, but different in that it actually recharges your battery. The other thing with the Nikola truck, the pro was the range. The range on that truck was a lot better than the Peterbilt. So you could go well over 300 miles on a charge, and that was a lot better than the Peterbilt, being 150 miles. As far as the pros, like, that's pretty much it, guys. Like, I mean, they're quiet, but some guys like quiet trucks, some guys like loud trucks. I mean, the quiet can hurt you, it can help you. I could see quiet being a problem. Just, coming up to crosswalks in town, people are just gonna walk out in front of you. Cars don't hear you coming. There's a lot of different ways that it could be hurtful or it could be helpful. So I'm not gonna really, as far as the sound, that's a pro and a con maybe. But let's get into some of the cons, and this is where it's gonna get a little bit interesting. And this is where I made my determination of whether I'm going to buy an electric truck or not. I tell you, it was a very hard choice. What do I do? And I just started listing them out because what I want to have come into our fleet, how's it going to work, and there's many different things that I have to take a look at. I'm going to start with the Nikola truck. Not that I'm necessarily picking on the truck, but I will get into that Peterbilt in a little bit. So the con on that Nikola truck, it was very tall. And in our application, where we would utilize the electric truck, would be in our flatbed division, and that's where it would probably work the best, and that truck would be too tall because we do a lot of residential deliveries and they'd be hitting tree branches and things like that. So that is definitely a con. The other thing that was not good was the tires and wheel size. So it was a much heavier tire. I forget the exact size. You can go back to that video and check it out, but the tire size was a bigger tire. Also, the rim size was an odd size rim. So you know, we have a fleet of trucks, right? And now we have to bring in a whole new line of rims and tires that, you know, is a bit frustrating. It's definitely more that you got to have, you know, on the shelf, and a lot harder to change. I don't know the pricing and all that on those tires, but it's definitely one of those things where, you know, it's not your typical truck. It's not a standard, you know, 24.5 or a 22.5, you know, 11R 24.5 or whatever. So it was a different size. I think it actually was a 22.5, but it was like a 315 or something like that. The other one that would be a con was the ease of entry. So getting in and out of the Nikola truck was not the easiest. You know, I'm always one to go down the ladder, go down the steps, like facing out. And that's just how I go down a ladder. I know it's backwards, but just getting in and out of that truck, it was a little bit tricky. I mean, once you're in there, you're fine, but getting in and out was hard. And I could see, you know, an older person, you know, some of the guys, you know, you could struggle a little bit. And the other thing is, when you're sitting in that truck all day long, you know, for 4 or 5 hours, and then you try to get out, I could see, you know, some guys fall in or whatever. Another con would be is the single drive axle. That is a big con for us because of the snow that we have up here. You know, getting around in the wintertime is going to be really hard with only one drive axle. So a lot of our trucks come with inner axle lock. A lot of freight trucks that you see only have a single drive axle. But for us, we often, if I order a truck, usually I order it with a full locking rears. So that means that that truck, every tire set is spinning, every wheel and tire set is spinning. Another con on that truck would be the weight. Simply the weight of that truck, you're 8,000 to 9,000 pounds heavier. There is an exemption for up to 2,000 pounds of that weight, but still you're going to be carrying around an extra 5,000 to 6,000 pounds of weight, 7,000 pounds. So that's not good. You know, we're gonna have to cut our payload. You know, there's a lot of cons about that. Another one is length of charge. So you can get fast chargers, but they run you well north of over $100,000 for a fast charger. And that's where, you know, till you figure the truck, till you figure the charger, you know, that's a lot of money to get a fast charger. And the other thing is even with a fast charger, your charge time is still 3 to 5 hours. So, you know, I bring in a diesel truck and in 20 minutes, that tank is full and we're ready to go again another 4, 5, 6, 700 miles. So that's really hard to beat, you know, with electric. You know, these trucks can run and run and run and it's not a big deal. Whereas electric trucks, you can't do that. You're gonna have to be sitting for a couple hours to get that battery charged back up. There is still some more cons, and you know, there's some of these cons I listed that I could, on the Peterbilt, looking at the Peterbilt a little bit, that I could work with because the Peterbilt, it was low. I could get around in job sites. The tire and wheel size were identical to what we run. I mean, that whole truck, it was very similar to what we run today. Getting in and out of the truck, there's a lot of things that had 2 drive axles. The weight was only, I want to say about 3,000 pounds heavier, 2,000 to 3,000 pounds heavier. It wasn't bad at all. You know, all stuff that we could live with. You know, the Peterbilt was actually something that we could have used. The one thing that did hurt a little bit was the range. You know, not having you know, at least a 200-mile range or a 300-mile range. That hurt a little bit, but it's still something that we could have lived with. The length of charge on the Peterbilt was also something that we could have worked with. It was around 3 to 5 hours. And, you know, so there's a lot there that we could have worked with. So some of these next cons, these are the ones that is where I said, I can't do it. I cannot do it. So Peterbilt, Freightliner, Nikola, if you're listening, this is the part that you guys want to hear. This is the fear of the unknown. This is the fear that I have for our drivers, for, you know, just whether I'm going to make that jump to an electric truck. And I really, you know, until some of these things get figured out or get tested, proven, tried, is when I'm going to, you know, maybe put money towards these trucks. But there's too many unknowns with these trucks. Just for example, when we're in a very corrosive climate up here, and 2 years in, 3 years in, if you look at what rust does to these steel frames, I mean, it literally destroys them. And then you look at these wires and all the different cables and stuff they got running in these trucks. Somewhere, sometime, somehow, something is going to short out. And we have it with our battery cables. They're all protected and so, and guess what? It still happens. And that's where, is a driver going to get electrocuted? What happens when things start corroding? Is the truck's just going to all of a sudden shut off and stop and it's stuck somewhere? And we don't even know can we tow these trucks? How can you tow them? Is there a risk or a liability in towing these that you're going to mess things up even worse? There's a lot of different unknowns that's where it just scared me. The first year I think would have been good, maybe the second year, but after that, you start walking around that truck doing a pre-trip and maybe tugging on wires or just, checking things over, and yeah, you never know. Could you get electrocuted? I don't know. So those are things that I don't have answers for. I'd love to, if you builders are on here, fill us in, guys that are building these trucks, put in the comments. The other thing that I don't know is reliability. And I still have one, but I've had several Cat engines that have gone well over 1.5 million miles, and I still have one that's running over 1.5. We still have not rebuilt the engine. Very, very reliable trucks. Can you get an electric truck to go 1.5 million miles without an engine rebuild? Just simple maintenance and the thing runs and runs and runs. That's day after day after day to get a truck to run. I understand there's going to be little things here and there, but day after day, reliability is key. You can spend $500,000, $1 million for a truck, but if it doesn't run every day, it's going to hurt you. And that's where the reliability of these older trucks or of the older technology of diesels, it's really hard to be beat. And for a fleet our size, it's a struggle. We need these trucks to run every single day. So that is something that I'd like to see a little more proven, that the reliability of these trucks, they can be continuous, day after day. And a lot better than these emission engine trucks. The other thing that I don't know that is scary to me is, I spend $400,000 on a truck, which, I could probably get the price down to about $200,000, but I'm still gonna have to put in a charger, that's probably another 80. So till it's all said and done, I probably get about 300 grand wrapped up into a charger and a truck. Now, I understand the charger I could probably utilize down the road. So let's just take the cost of the truck, which is probably around $200,000. In 5 years, what is that truck going to be worth? And that's what really nobody can answer. I was talking with Peterbilt a little bit, and it seems like the way they make it sound is the way everything is intertwined, you can't really replace batteries. So, the batteries are the most expensive part of that truck, and, in 5 years and 10 years, what's that truck going to be worth? Is it something where you just throw away? We have trucks with over 2 million miles that are still running every day, and they're some of our most reliable trucks. But here, we're going to have to, what do you take it to a landfill? What do you do with a truck that has, say even 800,000 miles on it if the battery lasts you 15 years? If the battery lasts you 15 years, and then it's shot, and you still have a truck, let's say you're in the South and you don't have corrosive salts that they put on the road, and the truck's still in good shape. What do you do with the truck, the steel, the cab, all that? Are there rebuilders that are going to rebuild these batteries or rebuild the trucks, paint them up again and put batteries in them? I don't know. There's too many unknowns in the resale part. So those are kind of the three things. Is there's so many unknowns. Second of all is reliability, and third is resale value. Those three things, those are big things, and I feel that a lot more of those should be answered before I'm going to invest money into an electric truck. Another thing that not many people really have answered that I would like to have answered is how green are these trucks? How green are these electric trucks? You know, where are the parts, the supply for the batteries coming in? Maybe like a feasibility study. Can they, you know, could they do something like that on these green trucks to see, you know, what amount of energy is it taking to build these trucks versus a diesel truck? So that's just kind of my thing. Right now, I don't have any plans to purchase an electric truck. I will definitely stay tuned, because if, you know, in 6 months, a lot of things could change, you know, and maybe there's 1 or 2 of those things could be answered. You know, I know that there's companies out there that are willing to lease trucks for so much a mile. There's still some unknowns. So, you know, in the next 6 months, I think a lot's coming down the pipeline. And I want to tell you too, so just because you live in Texas, or you live in maybe a red state where they're not pushing it, or you don't think they're pushing it as much, guess again. So there's so many states already that are adopting green, or I say green, but electric trucks, or they want electric vehicles. And don't kid yourself thinking that it's not going to come to your state, because most states are adopting it. So if you go on Peterbilt's website, I will put a link in the description below, and check out what you can do with an electric truck. You can actually build an electric truck and build a diesel truck and compare. So it's kind of cool. And it, according to there, it does seem like electric is cheaper to run. But there's, again, what's that truck going to be worth at the end of the day? And those are the things that are not really factored in. But the cost of electric is cheaper. So check out that website. The other thing you can check out on that website is all the grants. And that's how you can tell too that a lot of states are giving out grant money to get an electric truck. And Peterbilt, that Dusty Garland that I was speaking with in one of the previous videos, he's a grant writer. He could work with you if you're interested in green trucks in your state. He would know what all is available and could help you out. All right, guys, so there you have it. Sorry, no electric trucks here yet for us, but I'm still going to try to get out and test these trucks, and I am always open. I never want to be closed-minded. I feel when you are closed-minded, that's when things, you know, that's when you maybe become, you know, left behind in the technology world. So I know there's always bigger and better things, and I want to stay tuned to that. I'm somewhat excited for what's coming down the line, but there's parts of it that are scary, because like I hear that what is not exciting is supposedly W900, 389. There's a lot of speculation. What's going to happen to those trucks? You know, they start taking some of these trucks away. That's sad. So what's coming down the pipeline can be scary. You know, there's a part of it that is exciting, but there's also a part that's scary, or that's sad, to see some of these cool trucks leave. The question that I have too is, how long will diesel be available? How long can you run diesel trucks? And the price of diesel, there's so many variables, and I think that's where we got to really stay tuned and see what's coming down the road. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.